So Carl, my know-it-all neighbor, who is usually super annoying, heard that I needed a home loan. So he's all, sure, you want a low rate, but you don't want to pay to get it? You need a no-points home loan. And he said, First NorCal Credit Union has low rates and low fees and a quick and easy online loan app and no points. So Carl was totally right this time.
Carl is right. Don't pay points. Go to firstnorcalcu.org.
All right, let's clear this garage. Start a pile here for donations, one over here for recycling, and one more over here for trash. Hang on, what are you doing?
Recycling?
We may need that paint one day, and that can't be recycled.
First, this can looks older than me. And second, paintcare.org says you can.
Paintcare.org. Let me see. Oh, and there's a drop-off site close by. And it's free? Nice.
Dad, no.
It's Sal Capaccio.
Sal Capaccio. Sal Capaccio. Sal Capaccio. Sal Capaccio. Sal Capaccio. Sal Capaccio. Sal Capaccio.
On WGR.
All right, welcome back. A pleasure, as always, to welcome Sal Capaccio to the show, joining via the West Her hotline. Sal, I'm sure you've heard this a lot today since reporting that the passing offense just was not as sharp as you're used to seeing. Concern about the 2021 Bills season rampant, or probably not. What kind of day was it, really?
Actually, that's the first I've heard of that, Mike. You've
right?
broken the ice on that.
You've muted a
today,
lot of people.
So, yeah,
You've probably muted a lot of...
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Actually, today, the biggest sentiment I've gotten today was since reporting the injury report, which was about an hour ago, that two Bills left practice early, including running back Zach Moss and wide receiver Duke Williams, that a lot of people are a little concerned about Moss and, some injuries, and he's been banged up throughout his career. And, hey, this running game needs to be better. What about how has Antonio Williams looked, right? So obviously Matt Breida is still part of the mix too, but I think that's been the sentiment today. As far as how they looked on the field, it was not a stellar day throwing the ball. It wasn't horrible. Josh Allen had a couple of really nice passes. He also fumbled once untouched, just running in the open field basically, and a few more balls hit the ground than I would normally see. But I would say the running game did a really nice job. They were working that today in 11-on-11, and there were some nice holes, and those guys, especially Singletary and Breida, did a really nice job.
So, Sal, what do you think the plan will be on Friday? Are there any clues to be derived from what you've been seeing and hearing so far, or are we still pretty much in the dark?
No, I just go back to the reliables of, Sean McDermott since he's been in Buffalo. And I just know that he believes there's value in familiarity. There's value in routine. And we've talked about this before, which is it goes beyond just getting guys reps, so to speak. It's the game operation. It's getting the play call in, getting into the huddle, getting out of the huddle. Once the play is over, getting to the next huddle and the play in and out. And there's some value in that, and teams see that. Whether you've been in this league.
Different personnel packages, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, right? I mean, looking over to see your coaches, to know exactly what's going on. All of that stuff, the Bills value. We know that because we've talked many times about all the different kinds of ways that he tries to simulate things. So I can't see a scenario where the starters don't play at all this preseason. Does it mean they're going to play on Friday night? I'm not sure. I don't know how they're going to handle that. I would have to think they're going to play at some point. Maybe a couple here or there don't. I don't know. Is Jerry Hughes not going to play maybe because he's been dealing with the calf and he's already a couple weeks behind conditioning? Those kinds of things could shake out differently, but I'd have to believe Josh Allen and the predominant first offense would play at some point this preseason and maybe even a little bit on Friday.
So you mentioned Moss and an injury and then also Antonio Williams. I know we've talked about the running back, the puzzle, or just the whole the depth chart at that position a lot. It's an interesting position to talk about. And in this team, really, it's kind of secondary to what their passing offense, of course, was at least last year. How does it add up for you? I mean, the injuries can make that hard to know, like today. But Singletary, Moss, Breida, we talked recently from a Brandon Beane comment where I feel like maybe he revealed Breida they're planning on him on the roster. And then Antonio Williams is kind of an interesting player to think about too. But how do you look at it?
I think the only way Antonio Williams makes this team is if there is an injury that forces them to kind of go one more deep on the depth chart. I think it's Singletary, it's Moss, it's Breida, and Taiwan Jones is kept for special teams. Now they could massage that, and maybe at the end of the day they say, hey, we need another number at another position. We got a lot of special teams guys, but we know how much they value Taiwan Jones. When they brought him back to Buffalo last year, and they gave him a nice contract because they really believe in having core special teamers. He's one of them. So kind of throw him out of the mix, if you will. He's in his own bucket there. I know that they only activated 2 running backs last year, and then Taiwan Jones made the third, and maybe that's the case. But I think that's on game day. But on the actual roster, I can't see a path for Antonio Williams supplanting any of these 3 unless there's an injury. I liked what I've seen from him, but I just don't know where there's a spot. They want to use Matt Breida's skill set. And Mike, yeah, I mean, I know Brandon Beane said that, and I don't think it's any secret kind of when they signed him. I think he was targeted for a reason. They want to add an element they didn't have and feel that he can bring that element to them.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like it's that surprising necessarily. It just was more of okay, I guess he's in. It was more just firmer than I had been on it. But I hear you, right? It's kind of what you thought was the case before. So, okay.
Yeah. And what I've seen from Antonio Williams though, he does run hard. He's a straight line guy. He gives you a little more oomph than what you have in the backfield. I like that. I think he had a really strong OTA in minicamp. The opportunities are tougher out there now with all the different guys. It's tougher to tell without real pads on. But yeah, he had a nice day today. I thought the whole entire running game did, like I said. But I just don't see a path for him. To me, he's a practice squad guy. He'll be on the practice squad, and he might get a shot throughout the year, and he's the kind of guy that you're going to put on your roster when there's an injury. I also don't think there's any danger in losing him to waivers, right? I mean, at the end of camp, Antonio Williams, he gets cut. I don't think another team is, oh, my God, let's sign this guy to our 53. So really, what's the danger in having him around the building then, and maybe you can elevate him a couple times anyway?
With all due respect to him, do you maybe mean to say, every team has an Antonio Williams?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, he's not special enough for a team because if a team really wanted him that bad, I think he would have been signed. He was on the practice squad all last year. He was on a futures contract. He was brought back on. So I don't think it's a situation where now the only thing that could change that is, and we've seen this probably in the league before, he goes out there on Friday night and just completely rips up the Lions defense. Now suddenly, 31 other teams just see that happen on film somewhere. So now he's on the radar. But otherwise, I don't see any team clamoring necessarily, so I think he's a practice squad guy.
We'll see if he gets another shot. I mean, not too many guys probably have one NFL game in their career, and they scored 2 touchdowns in that game, right?
And don't really ever get hurt from again.
Yeah, if that's how it ends, I hope it doesn't end for him there, but it's kind of interesting if that's the case.
Sal, is it possible to ascertain from what you're watching, what sort of are there? I imagine they do drills like blitz pickup, any of that kind of stuff. Is he pretty well rounded as far as you know? Because I know one of the reasons I suspected that the team started favoring Moss over Singletary last year was his reliability, Moss's reliability in blocking. Do you have any read on Williams in that regard?
No, it's so tough, Bulldog, because they're just not going after the quarterback super hard, right? I mean, right. Yeah, they are. They get there and you can put a hand on them. So we don't I don't see a lot of opportunity like that. But it's a good question, though, and it's something I should probably focus on when they do have some periods where they'll do some things, some one-on-ones like that. That's where you'll get a lot of that. I'd say I think the Bills are pretty confident in all their guys. I don't think there's anyone that's, oh my God, he's really he's poor at that necessarily. But I'll try to watch that a little more. I haven't really been able to see anything specifically that would stand out either way.
Sal Capaccio with us on the West Her Hotline. Sal, what's interesting on defense in the last few days? What comes to mind?
I just keep thinking about the D-line numbers, how they're going to do this. I mean, if you want a bold prediction, guys, I'll say I think they could wind up trading somebody before the season starts. I think there's too many guys who can play in this league who would offer value to another team. You get draft capital instead of just releasing them. Now, I'm not about to predict a name. I don't know. I think that might be irresponsible even, but I just could see it happening. Brandon Beane has done that before at other positions. So that's one thing. The defensive backs in the battle, I think of all of the positions on the football field, what might shake itself out due to the actual games is defensive back. I think we could really tell in these 3 preseason games who's going to wind up being the third and fourth safety if they keep four safeties. Who's going to wind up being, the third, fourth, fifth, whatever cornerbacks. Like, I think those things will be decided in the games. I think it's too tough in practice because everybody gets shots. There's lots of guys out there, and they're all kind of, getting their turns, so to speak. They all have good days, bad days, good moments, bad moments. So I think we're going to have to see it in games, really, how that shakes out.
Yeah. How about someone specific here? Saran Neal, Sal. Like, where is he penciled in as someone who will see the field a lot at this point, or is that still something you think is up for debate?
I think he's a situational player that will see the field in certain situations. This is one of the things where, just so everybody knows, like, I could expand, but, I'm not going to do that here on the radio. Yep. That's okay. That's okay. But I think he's a valuable defensive player for them in certain situations is what I'm saying. Yeah. But I think he's much more valuable to them as an overall special teams player. He really is a guy that can kind of do everything. He doesn't have like these special traits as a defensive back. You say you got to get him on the field, but I think he really can do a lot of different things for you. So I think they really like him. They value him for certain situations. And by the way, when I say that, it could be all over the place because he really does have a unique type of ability to play inside, outside, safety, corner, all that kind of stuff. But they're going to find a spot for him, and he's going to be a situational football player.
Yeah, like big nickel, right? Like is that someplace he's been used before? Not so much. I'm not asking about
right. I do think there's been too much made about that particular position in Buffalo. I know that Sean McDermott used it a lot in Carolina, and then I think they used it probably a little more often in his early years here as coach of the Bills. I don't think it's something that when I say that, I mean it this way, Bulldog. Like we would go into a draft. And people would say, look at this guy. They should draft this guy for big nickel, like first or second round. I don't think they value it like that. What I think they like to have is a few guys who, oh, by the way, he can also be our big nickel. It's not let's target a guy because he's a big nickel, if that makes sense, right? So, sure, I think Saran would fall into that. I think Tariq Thompson could be a guy that has that particular body type. He's a UDFA. You look down the list, right? I mean, Damar Hamlin, he brings the wood, right? He's a safety they drafted out of Pitt, right? Is that a guy you could look at? So I don't think they particularly have one guy or one position like that. You're a big nickel. I think what they do is they say, hey, here's all of our defensive backs. Now, when we need a big nickel, who are we choosing from?
So are you excited as a fan for an apparent planned crackdown on taunting this year?
I mean,
taunting.
I watched the video today, and I thought about the Josh Allen penalty against the Chargers when he spun the ball. Remember that one?
Yes.
He spun the ball, right?
At the feet of a defender, right? Or
yes.
A prone defender. Yeah.
And I'm like, even that, to me, was pretty ridiculous to call him for. And what this video made it sound like was... like, it's going to be even beyond that.
Right.
Like, I don't know what they're going to be looking for or not looking for. But I thought to myself, you literally might have to play this game by completely keeping your mouth shut. And people may say, that's the way it should be played. Keep your mouth shut. Yo, just go back and do it like you've been there before. Oh, my God. Right? I mean, what are we doing here? But it sounds like that. It's like the play is over. And you literally run back to your huddle or run back to your sideline. You never say a word or look at anybody.
Is there – I did not see this video. It sounds like maybe I should. Is there some chance that they go hard at this in the preseason and realize they made a mistake and we get a well-crafted – has there ever been a poorly crafted – probably there has. We get a well-crafted statement from the league about allowing the players to show their personalities, and we made a mistake and we're overly harsh about this, so we're relaxing the rules, because if they're throwing flags all over the place for stuff that is really not that exuberant or offensive, you're going to get some pushback, I would think, from players, if not coaches, too.
I would normally say yes, Bulldog, but after listening and watching, I think this is something they really believe in and they're serious about, and think that their game took some sort of awful turn last year. And I don't even know. And was it the Tyrann Mathieu thing? Is that what it was? Like from the Super Bowl? Remember, wasn't he getting in someone's face or waving at someone? Wasn't that the deal?
Yeah.
With Brady, maybe?
Yeah, there was a thing, yeah, where yes, I don't remember the specifics, but his name and Brady, yeah, like that maybe that's it. I don't know, man. It's definitely not a thing that I, until Mike brought it up today, was thinking about watching last season or looking back at last season. Like, boy, I sure hope they get an opportunity to corral that behavior. It just never even crossed my mind that they had an issue.
Right. This has to be, to me, one of these overreactions that came from a certain few plays, and that's got to be one of them. And I can't remember the exact situation in the Super Bowl. There was something made about it, whatever. But I think they're going to overcorrect here, and, we'll see where it goes. The video also contained a lot of the other rules we've talked about over the last several months since they, changed some of them. So, if you go to Tom Pelissero's feed on Twitter, he's got a link to the actual video. It's about 5 minutes long if people want to watch it. It's the new rules and points of emphasis in the NFL this year. So there's a few more in there. One of them is that really, really weird one about extra point, penalties on extra points, and if there's another penalty and you can't go back to the same spot, or you can, and you can't decline a penalty that was already accepted. I don't know. It's this really weird thing that I figured out and I've already forgotten because it's so convoluted.
I love point of emphasis season. Point of emphasis season. Lately in my house, a new point of emphasis is eating breakfast. That's been a point of emphasis at our house. Make sure you eat breakfast so you don't get grumpy.
Sal, before we get wrapped here, the best of Bill's training camp today brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Car crash, call 1-800-8-million. You already talked about the running game. Is that your choice today?
No, I think the best thing I saw today, I'll go to another guy who returned, and that's Jerry Hughes. We haven't seen Jerry Hughes on the field at all until today. He returned. He was taken off the non-football injury list. He was on the active non-football injury list. That is an active spot. So he wasn't, not a roster spot. He didn't cost anyone a spot by coming off. They did put Marquel Lee, the linebacker, on reserve COVID. Now, that's a reserve spot, so they have another roster spot open. But to get back to the best thing I saw today, it's Jerry Hughes back in pads and back at practice today. That was good to see.
All right, that was a point of emphasis here in this report.
A point of emphasis.
The video I saw is different than the one you're talking about. Mine was just like a maybe not even a minute long. It had Jarvis Landry making a catch and then getting tackled and getting up and being like, first down, whatever. Just nothing even was obvious about taunting. And you can never hear the guys, right? Like an official might think, if only an official who throws the flag, if only the fans knew what I just heard. Then you would throw the flag too, or something. But we never really get to know that. Sometimes it looks really dumb. Well, I want to kind of represent the guy who doesn't like it or likes this sort of direction, because again, I think well, what would you want your kids to do, right? How would you want to behave on the field? And there's a lot of room between keeping your mouth shut all the time, Sal, and taunting, right? Like what seems sort of obvious about it. There's a lot of room in there. So, I don't know, though. I don't want to try too hard, but.
That's right, Mike. That's the issue I have. Like, I'm all for not having guys like get up in each other's faces and saying and just, getting after it like that after a play. Like, come on. Like, you don't need to do that. But I think there's got to be some room in this really highly emotional, highly physical game for a guy to make a play, look back and go, come on, baby, yeah, that's right, or something like that. You're talking to him, right? You're not saying anything necessarily derogatory or whatever. Come on, come get me, yeah, whatever. I don't know what it is. Like something like that, there's got to be room to have some emotion in this game. That's what it's about.
And there is.
Diggs on Monday Night Football in New England. Right, the pass he catches crossing over the middle from the bottom of the screen to the top, and then cuts up to the end zone. He turns and sort of waves or gives a peace sign, and then he almost falls, which was a little embarrassing, but he didn't fall. But he stumbled. But is that a problem now? Because that's taunting. He was taunting that guy, right? He was like you're saying, "Come, can't catch me."
Based on the way it sounded today, I think they would throw a flag on that. Now, maybe they don't. Okay. Maybe they say, well, that doesn't rise to the level. But, they're making some sort of effort here to say, you can't – we're going to really crack down on this year.
What I think I want – and I'm happy to – I'm not going to be somebody who just sort of blames. I'll participate if asked. What I want to establish guidelines here based on what the importance of the play is. And, hey, anything between the 30s, shut up. Anything that's not a first down, shut up. Like, very strict standards for anything between the 30s, anything in, like, the second quarter. Very strict. I'd treat this very strictly. But touchdowns, game winners, then I feel like, you got to have give a little bit more room. I'm happy to help. Again.
Sacks between the 30s, no celebration.
No.
Sacks in close to the offense's end zone or in your red zone, set yourself on fire. Fine.
Also, if your team is at least 3 games below 500, nothing is allowed. No taunting allowed. Come on, shut up. You're 4-7. I don't care about your touchdown. Just relax. Win something.
So in this video, and I'm just rewatching it now, as one of the examples, they show, is it the one you saw with Jarvis Landry, right,
yeah.
Mike? You were just talking about? And he spikes the ball, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like the fact that he just got a first down, so you have to spike the ball. I mean, call him for a delay of game if you want. I think it's kind of stupid, actually, to be quite honest with you, to just spike the ball in that situation. But he's getting up, and I don't know, unless he said something really inflammatory to the guy, he just spiked the ball kind of at the feet, and the guy was getting up. It just doesn't seem right that's going to cost the team 15 yards.
Well, like Bulldog kind of said, we'll see what they actually do, right? Because we've had these kinds of the helmet targeting or lowering your head and these things. We'll see what they actually do.
That was a couple preseasons ago, and that they forgot about that by the time the regular season rolled around.
Okay.
The biggest rule change this year, though, I think will be the blocking below the waist rule, guys. That's the one that's going to really have an impact on the league, I believe. That is, you cannot initiate any blocks below the waist outside the tight end box anymore. So an offensive lineman is pulling. He cannot go low and initiate a block on a defensive back's feet, at his legs anymore at all. That's a 15-yard penalty.
Sal, thanks.
Okay, guys.
There you go. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline, and our coverage of Bill's training camp here on WGR is always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys, and by Jim's Steakhouse, celebrating 40 years of mouth-watering hoagies and chicken finger subs.
Has taunting in professional football gotten out of hand? And is your neighbor's grass too long? 803-0550 for your comments. I feel like maybe the neighbor should cut the grass, right, Bulldog? I feel like taunting has just got to stop, and why won't the neighbors cut their grass? Back after sports here on WGR.
Kind of saw it coming, just the way I was progressing. Year 2 was really good, and then year 3 and 4, not as good. Was dealing with some injuries and some other things going on there. Like I said, it was disappointing, but it wasn't a surprise. Throughout the process, you can kind of see that they were just continuously just believing in me less and less, and that's just kind of how that process went.
Mitch Trubisky. How interested are we collectively in Mitch Trubisky? Came up yesterday, right? Like, who's somebody you're most eager for in these preseason games? And Joe's like, Trubisky. Like, yeah, of course.
I'm pretty as preseason storylines go. I'm moderate to genuinely. I want to stop from saying heavily, but I'm interested. I mean, I think it's unlikely that the Bills could reach the heights we're hoping for, even expecting, if something were to happen to Josh Allen, like something severe, like he misses, a dozen games or something, like gets hurt in week 4 and misses the rest of the year. I doubt they'd have a great season. But if Allen, takes a shot somewhere and has to miss a game or two, if I've got a guy that can play at a decent level in his place that has some mobility, he's not the runner, the athlete that Allen is, but he can move around, maybe they can have some semblance of a pretty similar looking offense. Whereas, Barkley had his strong suits, but he certainly was not at all similar to Allen as a player, at least as far as the running stuff goes. Trubisky's, he's a decent runner, I think. So, I'm pretty interested to see what he looks like in the preseason.
Yeah, sounds good. It's interesting, and great that we're talking about, like I'm joking with Sal, they were bad today or something, it's It's such obviously sarcasm. And so here's the preseason, and like, okay, well, let's see what the guys who aren't going to play look like. That could be kind of fun, because I feel absolutely no stress about the starters. So why not just, let's look at – it just puts a whole new kind of, way of thinking. There is that when it's like this, just like we don't need to watch the preseason to evaluate the most important guys, and you can just relax and do it differently. And Trubisky is an interesting figure in the league. I've liked the sound bites today. He's pretty upfront or matter-of-fact about what happened in Chicago. It sort of fits with what we all saw and thought, right? Like, it did decline. His assessment, I would say, of what has gone well here is accurate. And so, okay, I'm sort of getting into the guy. He is what was the award? The Nickelodeon MVP.
Yes.
He was the MVP.
He was the MVP in a game they lost.
In a playoff game they lost after going 8-8. Is
well,
right.
You know what? You can never take that away from him.
Yeah, he's the first man ever to win it, I believe. He's the first and only MVP winner.
Well, that's something that's on the resume for life.
He's got 2 losses. He's got pretty good playoff stats. 500 yards,
that
2 touchdowns, and 2 starts. Yeah, the Philly game could have easily been a win with a kick that went through. So,
I have talked about that game so many times in conversations with friends because of my one friend who was like way up top in a DFS tournament where it all came down to the end of that game, Philadelphia-Chicago. It's his story. It's just I was riding along with him, and he was winning, 5 figures, this big payout before the Eagles' last series. So the Bears are – do you have the box? The Bears are winning, 16 –
Yeah, it's actually my screensaver on my phone. Let me punch it up here for you.
I'm going to say the Bears are winning 17-12. I think that's 16-12.
this is in the you're saying in the last drive?
Right at the end.
16-15.
That's the Eagles' lead.
Yes.
So the Bears are winning 15-10.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, the Bears are winning 15-10, and the Eagles are first and goal. And my guy, he's got it. Like, he's not going to finish first, but he's way up there, and he just needs he just needs a stop, right? Like, no more points. There's no more yards to get. And the other guys in the running could have had different players on the Eagles, right? So it wasn't really, as I know it wasn't really just like have this one guy not score. Or maybe it was. But he wins big if the Eagles do not get in the end zone, as do the Bears probably. And so first down, second down, third down, it's now 4th and goal at the 3 or something.
4th and 2 at the 2, yeah. 4th and goal at the 2.
4th and goal at the 2. The Bears are winning 15-10, like a minute left.
Yep, 1-1.
And they throw it Foles.
Yep.
Throws a touchdown pass to Golden Tate. And my guy goes, just like that. Like, big money turns into, good money, but nothing, massive. But he's got Robinson. And so now at least he's got a chance because the Bears are going to they're down. Now they're going to have to drive the field.
They got to go, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was not with him for this game, but we're texting all the time. And I remember watching 2 plays on the next drive where Trubisky completes big passes, and I jumped up both times when I realized both were to Robinson. It's him again, just crazy. Imagine being the guy, in the contest. I don't know. I'd just pass out probably. But the 2 Robinson plays moved him not all the way back up, but much of the way back up, and he did great. But man, that it's not a mystery to me how people get roped into that.
Like gambling in general or fantasy?
Yes,
yeah.
All of it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It's not a mystery to me how that can happen.
No, it's undeniably fun to have that. Fun might be the wrong word, But it to me, undeniably, I care. This is embarrassing, I think, because I'm about to reference the longest running continuous airing segment in radio history that is unsponsored. I care about the stupid picks, and there's nothing. We haven't had anything writing on that other than us talking about our record in a segment that apparently doesn't really actually air anywhere because it's unsponsored after almost 20 years of doing it at the same time every day, every week, every football season that we've been alive for as a show.
Wow.
I care about those, and there's no stake. Like, there's no, I mean, way back when you had to sing some songs one year and eat some terrible food, and I had to get a ridiculously embarrassing haircut. Like, we had stakes, but we don't anymore. And
no one
still
cares.
Care. But I still want to be right.
Oh, I wanted win the picks. It's, pride. It's got your name on it.
So if you add in $10, $20, $1,000 into the equation, I mean, this is why I don't do it. The gamble like that, because the fact that I care about the picks tells you all you need to know about what I would be like to deal with if I actually had financial gain or loss of any amount. I would be insane. I am not built for that. I can't do it.
Well, respect for knowing that. That's self-control that you have, that you're famous for.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. See
right,
my
Joe?
beer fridge for an example of that.
Hey, I mentioned earlier that I started watching a TV show. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
I can't even tell you how this idea. There's nothing to the story. Like, I was up, and no one else was, and I turned on Netflix, and I saw Star Trek: Next Generation. For some reason, that show was recommended to me. Star Trek: Next Generation. And I realized, like, I've never watched 5 seconds of that show. I kind of like the vibe of the super old Star Trek shows, and I've liked a couple of the movies, but don't ask me, like, how to speak Klingon or anything. Like, I was not any kind of a real fan. But, sort of a cool vibe to it. Late 60s. And, but the time, Next Generation, all new people, like, just never had any interest. So there it is last night.
Vibe is not there. It's new. Yeah.
Yeah. There it is last night for whatever reason on my list of, you should try this. You might like it. People like you like it. Yeah. Or whatever it says. People like you also watch.
How wrong they were.
I lasted 3 minutes. Not even, maybe. Not even 3 minutes. Just like, what am I doing? You watch that. You're like, what am I committing to? The entire series? Right? Am I really just going to watch one episode of this? No, I'm sort of committing, and I just got all like, get out of here, run. So I don't know. It's probably good, but I watched it for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And Patrick Stewart like walks around, and he talks to a guy with sort of a different face, and then I'm just like, you know what? I'm not here for this.
It shouldn't surprise you or anyone who's been with us for any amount of time. I've never had the least. I never tried, never going to try, never even. If it was suggested to me, I would sever ties with Netflix.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
What a statement.
Just for the suggestion.
You don't know me at all, Netflix, if you're telling me I should watch this.
If
I've been hacked is what you're telling me. There's someone in Illinois using my Netflix password watching stuff that compels you to tell me to watch Star Trek.
This is so great. If Netflix recommended Star Trek to Bulldog, he would cancel his subscription. That's like Joe saying he hates Dayton for that they host the first 4 games.
Yes.
It's just such an overreaction. You hate the whole school. How far does this actually extend? The city, the state? Just the school.
Just no, the city, the region.
The city, the region.
The region.
The greater Dayton area.
Can I get you to the state? Can I get you to just hate Ohio in general? Come on.
No. Yeah, not the whole. Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I can't group Cleveland in.
Okay. All right.
Cleveland or Cincinnati?
I've never been to Cincinnati, so it's hard for me to judge.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
I haven't been to Cincinnati as an adult. I'd like to go as an adult and give you an answer, but I do like Cleveland a lot.
Cleveland is fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I like it.
Cleveland, I'm fine with Cleveland.
Never had a problem.
No. Dayton, though.
I don't like driving through there. That 90 where it's got that hairpin turn.
Yeah.
You know, that hard right on the 90. You got to slow down to like 20 miles an hour on the 90. I don't like that.
That's annoying.
The only problem I have with Cleveland. Other than that, Cleveland is fine. I don't even mind that their river once burned. Fine. I live in Buffalo. No problem. But that hard turn on the 90, get out of here with that. Come on.
I can get over it because you are at least, like, it's different terrain on a long Ohio drive where everything looks the exact same. You know, like I can get down with a extra 10 minutes to go through Cleveland.
Listen to you two breaking this down.
I'll be there. Worst drive in the world.
I'll be there this weekend. Be driving through
Ohio.
on Saturday. Yeah, well, through Cleveland.
Oh, once you get through there, I don't think you see anything until California. No, Colorado.
Chicago. Chicago
is
what you want.
Sure. Yeah, unless you get on 80 and don't stay on the 90 and you avoid Chicago because of the traffic, and then you're in hell. You are in interstate hell, America. It's the worst.
Mm. I'm struggling to respond to that.
I don't have anything to add.
Taunting. You should get a taunting penalty for that.
Oh, I'm definitely taunting.
That is
the
clear
I-80,
taunting.
Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. I can keep going.
Hey, sorry we didn't get to the guy who called in to talk about his neighbor's grass. Getting connected with our fans brought to you by Bond, Shenik, and King, a full-service Buffalo law firm. No, he hung up like 10 minutes ago. Mike Shope and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. I have listed some taunts. I haven't decided, though, like, what is a good taunt, really. I just started listing taunts I could think of. Like stepping over the guy's head when he's down, right? You sort of step over it, like step across.
Iverson.
Oof, that's not a great one.
Not a great one?
No, you could do better. That's just a little bit less classy than I would like. Taunts can be clever and classy.
Classy taunts?
Yeah, like
just
more of like an on-the-spot breakdance or something.
That's classier? Stepping over
It doesn't get too much less classy.
I don't know if there's
that
such
other
thing
one.
as a classy taunt.
The crotch grab, that's not. We don't need that, do we? Like when people are like, "Oh no, what no fun league." Because you need more of that.
Not that specifically.
I mean, spitting. Is spitting taunting? It's terrible. We don't want spitting, right?
At people?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely not. No,
we don't want that.
No. In real life, that's like you're inviting getting punched in the face by doing that. So, yeah, that's not something that should be accepted anywhere.
Dropping the ball at the DB's feet. You make a play.
Ooh, I like that.
First down. They tackle you. You just sort of, here. You try to hand him the ball. I bet that is a flag now. If you hand the ball to the DB, I bet that's a flag.
Yeah. I watched this Landry play that you're referencing when we were talking to Sal, and he spikes the ball at the defensive back. That's been a penalty like my whole life, I feel like. But I don't think like that there's a new emphasis on that. If they didn't call it, they were negligent. I feel like that's been a penalty forever. That's not, to me, something new unless I'm totally botching this, but I feel like that has been a penalty for a long time.
And we don't need that to be a penalty.
I don't mind that it's a penalty. I really don't. I don't think that's embarrassing for the league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to get up and point your first down, I think anytime you spike the ball that you haven't scored, that's a penalty.
Save it.
Yeah, it's a penalty. I mean, that's just me, but I mean, I don't know, and I'm not like super upset about like turning the league into some sort of a crackdown police state or something, but I don't know, like the stuff that has been to me penalized or should have been penalized being emphasized. I don't know. I guess I'm not that upset about it.
What if you get up after you're a receiver, you make a catch, you get a first down, you get up after the play, and you sort of brush off your shirt?
Fine.
Is that taunting?
Yes, but I don't think it warrants a flag.
It is taunting, isn't it? It's crazy, but it might be actually taunting.
It's taunting, but I'm not doing it at any one. I mean, am I walking right up to the DB and like brushing my shoulder towards his face mask? Then maybe that's a problem. But if like I just get up and in general do that, not really directed at anyone, I don't need a flag thrown for that. I don't think a flag should be thrown for that.
Yes, the walking at the player.
It's all about if you're directing it at someone.
Right.
You want to get up and spin the ball because you made a great play. Fine. You spin the ball at someone's feet. Flag.
Well, see, it should be a good coach now has his defensive players, after a play is over, run to the scene.
Yes.
So if the guy spins the ball or brushes off his shirt just because he's happy and proud, hey, look, I'm standing right here. How do I not take that personally? That's 15. You just sort of you brush off your shirt like it's dandruff or, like in my case, because of Nico, like feathers. Just get the feathers off. Got to make sure I do that before I leave the house every day. We might have a game coming up. Stay tuned. Mike Chopin, the Bulldog here, WGR.
So Carl, my know-it-all neighbor, who is usually super annoying, heard that I needed a home loan. So he's all, sure, you want a low rate, but you don't want to pay to get it. You need a no-points home loan. And he said, First NorCal Credit Union has low rates and low fees and a quick and easy online loan app and no points. So Carl was totally right this time.
Carl is right. Don't pay points. Go to firstnorcalcu.org.
All right, let's clear this garage. Start a pile here for donations, one over here for recycling, and one more over here for trash. Hang on, what are you doing?
Recycling?
We may need that paint one day, and that can't be recycled.
First, this can looks older than me. And second, paintcare.org says you can.
Paintcare.org. Let me see. Oh, and there's a drop-off site close by. And it's free? Nice.
Dad, no.
On Pod Save the World, we want to be your cheat sheet for global events. My name is Tommy Vitor, and each week, my co-host Ben Rhodes and I break down the biggest stories from around the world. Ben and I both worked on President Obama's national security staff, and we'll introduce you to the activists, politicians, and journalists who can help us understand what's going on around the world, what it means for the United States, and what it's like being inside the White House Situation Room during a crisis.
Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.